So how many meetings had you had before you changed your approach?
80 or 90. Yeah, so it was a lot of no's. And it was affecting me. I felt, well, why I need to receive so much rejection and all these harsh comments from BCs. I just decided to change the way I was managing the intros with investors. And I was like, just before we start this meeting, I just want to explain a bit how I do this. I don't do pitch. It was the opposite, like the one that was intimidated, it was him, and I felt so comfortable. And he was like fascinated. Oh, you have built something amazing. We want to be part of your company. And so we say no to 600. But something that it was also like key in the success, it was like the preparation of the material. I took maybe 2-3 months understanding the strategy of
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
What should the audience know about the one and only Atilana at this stage of your life and career?
I'm Ati. I like people call me Ati. Was born in Colombia, raised in Venezuela, and moved to many countries just because of a sense of adventure and sense of building things. And I end up in the UK, loving London. I am an engineer that loves to create things. So I live in a constant struggle to leave the box of an engineering mindset and go into the creating mindset, the artistic part of my brain.
But what is your amazing company that you're building?
So my company is called Retorna. So we are a financial service business that we focus on migrants. So at the moment we serve people that wants to send money to their families. We focus in specific countries like Venezuela and Colombia. So we don't do the entire world as other companies do. We focus on these migrant communities. We have around 50,000 customer per month. We are a 5-year-old company that has bootstrap until last year that we raised our first round, and we are expanding to new countries, focusing, attending to these Colombian and Venezuelan communities.
And you've got just over 50 employees,
51.
having raised only $1.2 million,
Yes.
which by most startup standards is very impressive.
Yes. So basically, I was very lucky. Like the company, we started in the pandemic, and there was a massive need for people to send money digital because they were used to go to an agency and send cash. So with lockdown, no one could send money to their families, and that's how we started, and help us to bootstrap the company and pay our employees with our own revenues. So also very self-aware in terms of like the cash management. So we keep the company in healthy financials, and that's why we didn't raise much more than what we needed last year.
I'd love to go into that. You raised 1.2, you turned down $600,000. As you said, you didn't need it. But also when you raised, you had 750,000 in the bank already.
Yeah.
Can you talk to the logic behind what that money was used for and then what the money you raised was used for?
Yeah, so basically, because we were bootstrapping and we were profitable at the time of raising, each month we have spare money, that grew the cash balance of the company. So we had this cash for two things. Like first, it was the working capital of the company. So in terms of the operation, it covered all the operations that we were doing by then. But also, we wanted to have some safety money in case of something happened. Like if another pandemic happens and the business doesn't do well, we just don't need to do layoff or to cut down cost. We just can carry on with our money. So we have a good cash management, and by the time we decided to raise, we just wanted to grow the company to a certain point, and we were very focused on what we needed in terms of like investment in marketing, growing the product team, developing new products. So we just decide to raise actually 1 million, and we end up receiving offers for 1.8, and we say, okay, so if we want to reinvest a bit more, what's the maximum that we can do? So 1.2, and that was it. So we say no to 600, and we say, no problem, there will be more opportunities for you to be part of the company. And yeah, so investors were not that happy because they left out, but yeah, we kept in touch, and next round maybe they will be part of the company.
That seems to be the golden sort of ticket when it comes to raising money. It's the companies that don't need the money,
Yeah.
VCs want to give them the money, and the companies that desperately need the money, VCs are more reluctant. So it sounds like you were in the best possible position.
Yeah, it changed the conversation like 100%. You know, like um, when I started doing fundraising, I saw myself like just giving a pitch and telling about my company, and the like even the body posture of investors were kind of like, "Oh, you need my money," and I felt a bit like intimidated, and it wasn't working. It wasn't working because I felt, well, why I need to receive so much rejection and all these harsh like comments from BCs if I am in such a good position, right? I just need to find someone like with shared values and that wants to invest in the founders of the company. So they believe in us making the company we want to build, right? So after that introspection, I just decided to change the way I was managing the intros with investors. So my first actually conversation was with my lead investor. After that, I changed that perspective, and I was like, just before we start this meeting, I just want to explain a bit how I do this. I just want to talk about how we started, what we're doing, and what we want. And if you are interested, then we can carry on the conversation. I don't do pitch. I just tell my story. And he was like, it was the opposite, like the one that was intimidated, it was him. And I felt so comfortable just sharing my story and the story of Retorna to an investor. And he was like fascinated. Oh, you have built something amazing. We want to be part of your company. And it was pretty easy because of the first meeting, we managed to get our lead investor.
Wow. So you'd previously tried pitching, and various VCs were like, oh, I'm in control here. I'm in a powerful position, and they gave you negative feedback or whatever, right? And then this is when you realized and you changed your approach. And then as soon as you changed your approach, suddenly then people were a lot more interested.
Many meetings like with the wrong approach end up in rejection. Once I change my perspective, it's like, no, I just need to make this work for me. So I will make use of my time better. Because fundraising is exhausting. You have thousands of meetings. Like people, depending on the amount you raise, you have 100 meetings and one yes. So if you need 10 investors, you need to have 1,000 meetings. That's not very productive.
So how many meetings had you had before you changed your approach?
Maybe like 80 or 90.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was a lot of no's. And it was affecting me.
But you were profitable.
Yeah. But also, and it's important understanding where we were, because my company is not AI, is not new crypto technology. It's just a money transfer business. That some investors say, oh, but that happened, like the wave of that kind of businesses was 10 years ago when Wise started or when Revolut started, not now. It's like, well, yeah, that's your perspective, but we started 5 years ago and we are doing good. We are growing. We have a massive market to attend and customers love us. So why not to do it? Right? So, of course, like also to approaching like the wrong people was something that I learned. Like you need to do a lot of research first. and understand what kind of investors could be a good fit for you, and just kind of like put a label on them. So, okay, so these are the ideal investors. These are the ones that, oh, I could say yes, but maybe they say no, or these are the ones that are going to reject me. I started with the one that rejected me, learn a lot, and then move to the ideal.
What information on these investors gave you the best signal as to whether they were aligned or not from your research before you meet them?
I would say the perception and the attitude towards the conversation. Like, as everything, like if you meet someone and that person asks questions and like show curiosity about what you're doing, then that's a good sign, because that means curiosity means I want to know more, right? But if it's just like kind of like a not, how you say this, like when it's that there is no chemistry, because the questions are like basic. So what's your revenue, what's the competition, like there is no substance, so you end up the meeting quickly because it's not working. If there is no curiosity, there's no spark, and therefore there's no more conversations. It's like when you date someone, the first date, if you have a great conversation and you laugh and you have fun, then you want a second date. So it's the same with investors. If you have a first meeting and there's curiosity on both sides, and you actually schedule 30 minutes and I wish I had 30 more, then you have a second meeting, and that's a good sign. If not, then maybe it's not the right fit. You send the information, but maybe it's not the right fit.
Quick 10-second pause to say that our newsletter is the highest value per sentence in your inbox. We share systems, prompts, and scripts that you can use today, because content without action is just noise. All the links in the description. Now, let's get back to the episode. But then, thinking about an efficient use of your time when it comes to fundraising, is there any way that you figured out you could understand whether an investor was a closer fit than not in your research before you have a conversation with them?
Yeah, I did a research in the past. Like, first thing is like to understand if it was a fund. So what's the thesis of the fund, if they do impact businesses or not, if they are gender lens or not, because impact investors, like, they invest with their hearts. Gender lens also like have this woman focus business type, so they are more flexible in terms of like their thesis. And when I say flexible, doesn't mean that it's less important. It's just like they are more open to listen. They're not looking for the next Uber, the next Airbnb. They just want to invest in a good business that could do good to people, right? So I only focus on those kind of funds, and also focus on angel investors with the related to the industry I work on. Because so something also I notice is, if I'm going to bring people to my cap table, then I want those people to be helpful for the business. It's called the smart money, but I also think the smart money went kind of like it lost the power, because people with connections and money is smart money. No, it's not necessarily smart money. Like someone that wants to invest in your company, but also is willing to be part of an advisory board because they have experience in the industry you work on, that's smart money. Like someone that has built audiences, that has built community-led startups in something like the industry I work for, that is smart money, right? So I focused and targeted angel investors that were related to what we do and approached them. And actually, I started with providers. So it's like, I want to talk with the CEO of this company that is a provider of my company. And just say, I just want some feedback from you. And he invested in the company. And now he's part of the advisory board, which is good because he knows about the industry. He is my provider and also an advisor, right? And it's a plus that he gave me money. And so that's how I approach the fundraising process. But something that it was also like, I would say, key in the success, it was like the preparation of the material. Like I took, I would say, maybe 2-3 months understanding the strategy of my company, like why do we need it to raise, what we wanted to do with that money, and to put that into a very strategic investment deck. Right? It's not just a pitch deck where you put your competitors, this classic Y Combinator pitch decks. It wasn't that kind of deck. It was a bit more dense in terms of content. Yes, we spoke about the competition, but we did a bit of like a debrief about why we were better with data, with like even screens, like showing screens of the product, like show the difference in terms of the how professional was our app compared to competitors in the region. So we also saw that like did like a debrief of the market opportunity. It's not, oh, this is a 200 billion per year business. No, okay, this is 200, but with the fees that we share is basically a 2.5 billion in revenue a year. And like understanding what is the target market, the service market, and what you can earn from that market was also very important for investors to understand the potential. Because you talk about billions, but as an investor, you will think, okay, so when those billions will come to my bank account and how? And just by understanding that with our traction, with our value proposition, we just put that into the investment deck and made all like the process way smoother than in the past. Because I just had a first meeting, there was chemistry, send the investment deck, just let me know what you think. We have another meeting, I can introduce you to another investor that like they can give you the perspective of like what they think about our business, and then we work with that. And because I also had this provider that was an investor in the company, of course he was going to talk good things about me because I was his client. It's just like a understanding how relations work and make that work for you.
That's a really impressive approach to fundraising. Honestly, I think you have thought about this in a very intelligent way. I get that sense from every part of how you're building this company. So I'm so excited to go deeper. So you've got a mixture of sort of strategic investors who are your partners. You've got a fund and you've got angels. So then I'd love to know now, what's the structure of your board? Because it sounds like you were very much in the driving seat when you took this money. And so did that translate into how you structure your board as well?
We don't have a board. We say no. I mean, we have a board and it's the founders of the company and 2 advisors that are part of the equity of the company. But we say no to a board to investors. And the investors don't have a seat because it was a seed round, right? So you don't want an investor that perhaps just have different interest. They just want to make more money, right? So investor thinks about this 10x mindset and they want another round. So if you give them a seat on the board, they're just going to make decisions on your company when it's not the right time. Maybe in a Series A, in a Series B, you will do it. I think they will force you to do it in a Series A. But in a seed, you can say no. And we say no. But what we did is, what we can do is we can create an advisory board that has no governance in the company. So we can act as if we were in a board. We present results, we share the challenges, we receive feedback, we incorporate that feedback into the company, but you have no governance. So you make no decision for the company. But we hear you. And it's been working, like it's what we did.
And your lead investor is on that advisory board?
Yes.
Okay, they are. That's fantastic. That's really good.
Also, that happened because we were in a good position to fundraise. If they say no, we've just carry on doing business because we were profitable. We had 750,000 in the bank account, and it was no problem for us to not raise. What the problem was to not grow at the pace we wanted to grow. But when you are looking for the right partner, the right investor, you can wait a bit longer because it's a good fit for a future. And when you say yes to an investor that you might not connect just because you need the money, then that will affect you in the future. So we're in a great position to say no. If the situation was different and we were burning cash and with a lot of pressure, we will say yes to the board, we will say yes to the 1.8, and we will say yes probably to other conditions because we needed the money. So the most important thing is to be good with your cash management so you don't need the money. You want the money, but you don't need it.
So let's go into cash management. Do you have any sort of principles that you find yourself repeating either to your leadership team or to the wider team around how you manage your company finances?
Yes. So basically, my co-founder and myself, we discuss a lot in terms of budget, and we go line by line. For example, how can we save money this month? So we can cut on these tools. Are we using these tools? Yes or no? So for some founders and for some entrepreneurs, that will be like going too much into the detail. But for us, it's been good because that helps us to take care of every penny. So we have this saying inside Retorna, we say, take care of the pennies because the millions will take care of themselves, right? So if you want millions, you need to save the pennies. So we focus on, we say, we need to cut the number of accounts that we have on Google. And that was like $14. But we have those kind of conversations because the more that we cut cost in terms of things we were not using, the more efficient we were. And the mindset of the company was to use the resources in the most efficient way possible. Also, a second thing that I will say is we negotiate hard. So I still remember one time we were having our first advertisement on the radio, and we had around like $5,000 in budget for that, which was very cheap and completely unrealistic. And I went to the meeting with the provider, and it was, I don't know in dollars how it was, but it was 60 million pesos for like 3 mentions on the radio. And I spoke with my co-founder and he told me, no, just offer 20. And we start the conversation with 20 so we can close in 30. And I was like, no, Juan, we cannot do that. That's like, I cannot do 20 if they quote for 60. Just do it. And send the email and the guy say yes. And I was like, what? So after that, I just learned we just need to negotiate hard so we can, close to a budget that we are comfortable with in terms of finance. If we cannot do it, we will not overspend. And that's just taking care of the pennies. Now it's more flexible. Like now we don't focus on the Google accounts anymore. But, in the beginning, just created the mindset for the people that work in Retorna to use efficiently the money and to take care of every penny.
So the purpose of this show is all about the people side of company building. So how does this focus on being very resourceful and efficient and negotiating hard? How does that translate when it comes to salaries and employees?
That's a good question. It's a great question, actually, because for us, we had the salaries according the size of the business. So in the beginning, of course, we started really low because we had no money. So we were bootstrapping and we couldn't just pay a CEO salary because we were going to bankrupt. So we increased accordingly to the operations. And now I will say I'm in a very good position. Also, my team is on the average of the market. Like They are not going to quit because they are underpaid. But we started like in a very low end, hiring people on the average of the market. But that what that created is we cannot hire so many people because we don't have much more money. But we started increasing like little by little the amount of people we got into the company, but with their salaries, their real salaries. But as a founder, we were like on the low side. We were able to cover our expenses and even to save a bit of money. I mean, to be honest, I wasn't living in London by then. Otherwise, the situation would be different. But as we set milestones, it's like, okay, so the OKRs of this quarter, so our North Star is always revenue. So the revenue needs to be this amount. And if we achieve that, then we increase a bit more. And for the next quarter, we increase a bit more. And that's how we managed to get the real salary for us. And we now do it in a constant basis just to keep the people happy, right? So we set the North Star revenue, the North Star metric as revenue, and that helps us to understand. For example, let's say the North Star metric is to close June in £500,000 in revenue, and the company currently makes 400, so that's a surplus of 100,000. So if we give a bonus to the team, let's say 30% of that, we still have 70% in increase.
Okay. So if you make this extra revenue that you're trying to hit, then giving people bonuses would only equate to 30% of that extra revenue that you've made.
Exactly. So we tie the North Star metric to a bonus, and is tied to their salary of the person. So what that creates is an effect of like, I want to achieve this because I'm going to earn much more. I already earn what I should because of my, like, based on my experience, my role, like my responsibilities and risks that I'm taking in this company. But, and I'm happy with that. But if I am like successful and I achieve the North Star metric, I'm going to get an extra. Right? So because we tied everything to revenue, basically makes people very self-aware of the current circumstances of the company. So if we were burning cash, people, need to be tied with cost. But if we are profitable, then we need more so we can earn more. Does that make sense in terms of mindset? So that's been very helpful because people is motivated to work and to overachieve, not only to achieve, because if they achieve the milestone, they earn. But if they overachieve, they earn more. So based to your initial question about how this affect the salaries and the cash management, what I will say is being so focused on the revenue of the company and growing the revenue help us to have the choice of increasing salaries and paying ourselves and our employees the real value on the market.
Quick pause to say, if you found this valuable, then think about who you know who might also find it valuable, because leaders helping other leaders makes the journey that much easier. So at this stage in the business, you pay the market salary, and then it's a sort of a performance related bonus where if the collective performance of the company hits this revenue milestone, then people get X% extra of bonuses, right?
Yeah.
Which focuses their mind on the revenue. But in order to remain profitable, you have to obviously be focused on the costs and the revenue. Yeah. And the way that we went into this was like, you were really detailed on the costs. Yeah. And you've focused your employees entirely around the revenue and pushing to increase revenue. But that could also lead them to increasing costs more than increasing revenue. So how do you balance their focus on the costs as well?
Yeah, but you know that many startups are focused on growth at all cost. So they focus on growing the customer base, growing the user base. Not sometimes a user is a customer. It's just growing. But perhaps those users are not paid users. So there is no revenue. So you are spending a lot and not receiving a lot. So that's kind of like the BC mindset. Just grow the user base and then you monetize after, right? For us, it's kind of like different. We start on just focus on the revenue and grow the revenue. If we grow the revenue, then it's because we are growing the user base, right? So because of that mindset, we say, okay, we have this revenue at the moment, and these are our expenses, and this is the projected increase in our revenue. So how can we be more efficient? Sometimes more revenue comes from growing the company, and that's our case at the moment. But there will be times where the revenue comes by cutting cost. Because you will say, okay, I earned this amount, the EBITDA, I'm sorry. So you earn this amount of money, and then your EBITDA comes as a result of your expenses, right? So if you want to pay your employees a good salary, and if you want to give your employees bonuses, your EBITDA must be positive. And you need to have like that freedom in terms of cash flow to do so.
And so is the North Star revenue, is the North Star EBITDA?
The North Star is revenue, but the North Star, the revenue is defined by the EBITDA. So we always check. Sometimes we had when we started executing the investment, we were in burn. We were burning cash. So the EBITDA was negative. But our North Star was always how to we go back to profitability. That's the main thing at the moment, right? So the company was very focused on going back to profitability. Of course, growing the user base, because that was kind of like what we wanted. We wanted to have more market share. But also, what are the other efficiencies that we can do in our current operation? Oh, we change a provider in the paying method in Colombia. That saves us £8,000 per month. And it sounds like, oh, but 8,000, maybe I'm focusing on 8,000 when I can just receive 200,000 if I focus on the users. But that's the key for cash management for us. It's just work in what we can do to make things efficient and to work like a Swiss train, always on time, perfect, like perfect detail, attention to detail. If we can cut costs on this, we will do it. At the same time, we will focus on growing the company, so it's kind of like very focused on the revenue and the EBITDA. So we keep the company healthy. And the most important, that hasn't stopped us to grow at double digit per month. We are still able to do it. It's just very focused on that.
And you've grown at double digit percentage per month because you have also nailed your marketing, or is it because the product is just so much better than the competitors? Like, what's that down to?
Well, it's a great question. I think the main thing is the strategy that we have. So first, we are focused in migrants from Colombia and Venezuela. And why we do that? Because that's kind of like a 25 billion per year market opportunity that is completely blue ocean, because people always focus in the US, in the massive corridors that have a lot of sharks, but we have 25 billion with no sharks. So we are working there. So we are working on the product. So we have instant payments there with all the methods available. And that's just the value proposition of the product that creates referral. So for example, one new customer today brings 3 friends just because of the product. Second, we nailed, with time, over 5 years, we mastered the advertising. So we partnered with influencers that, I would say, mega influencers, someone that is well known in the community, and we pay them to do a video that we can advertise on social media and create trust from the customer, and also, spread the voice that we're trying to do, and that give us the growth that we need, right? And it's just a combination. The secret sauce has different ingredients. Otherwise, it will be just water or salt or pepper. No, it's the mix of different things that create that special ingredient. And for us, it's just hard work, understanding our customer, what do they need, and just develop that.
Love it. Going back briefly to the team, I read somewhere that at least your founding team or the early team was 75% immigrants. Is that correct? I don't know if your current team now still has that figure.
It's still, it's not 75, but I would say it's like 67. It's still very tight.
It's a very precise number.
Yeah, very precise.
It's about 67.5%.
It's like 67.
Yeah.
I would say 67, just like out of the blue, like rough estimate. But yes, it was still a majority of the team is immigrant.
Now, it obviously brings a certain passion when you're the customer of the problem that you're solving, or you're experiencing the problem that you're solving. But I suppose there's this way up when it comes to just like who is the best talent, right? And so I'm not saying that the people that you've hired aren't the best talent, but how do you think about the priority of things when you go in to hire people?
Well, we have no preference in terms of like social status, migration status, gender, sexual preference. Like we are completely unbiased in that sense. So if you are a migrant and you are qualified for the role and you pass the assessment, then you will get an offer, right? So we don't care your roots. We just want to know that you are a good fit for the role, right? So it happened that many of the people that we interview were immigrants and they were very good and they passed the assessment. And it's been a good thing because working with migrants as customers and working with migrants as like team is just like a very good equation, because when you talk to the team, oh, we need to develop this feature, they will say, of course, because it will be much easier if I can just have a subscription of the amount that I send to my mom every month. I just don't need to think about it, or she doesn't need to remind me. Yeah. And that person knows that because they send money each month, right? So they understand our users' problem because they are customers. Like all of them are customers of our company. So they understand the needs, they understand what needs to be done, and they understand the user.
So I've always thought that the danger of this, the danger of being the customer of the company and working in the company, is that people might tend to lean on their own personal experience more than the data. Because you go, oh, I know what the answer is. Like I know what the problem is, and they don't critically analyze exactly what the customer or the wider customer base is saying, or exactly what the problem is. How do you create checks and balances so it's not just a anecdotal, oh, I've had this problem, therefore I know the answer?
Yeah, well, one of the pillars of our culture is facts and data, so we can discuss, right? If you bring the facts that users need this, of course, you are a user, but you're not going to propose a new product just because one person wants to develop the feature or the product. Just need to show me how many customers are actually asking for this product. So it's not just because you're a migrant and you understand and you give the direction of the company. No, it's because you're a migrant and you understand, you empathize with the purpose of the company, so you serve better to our users. And part of serving better to our users is to do the research and understanding what they need. And when you understand what they need and you empathize with that, then you have better results. So that's kind of like how we work. However, we remember there's another 25-30% of our team that is not migrant, and they also, contribute. They contribute to the discussion with their perspective, but also with data. So we do decisions very data driven, I would say.
And you've taken this to the next level as well. You have a full-time researcher in the team to make sure that these decisions are really data driven, and that's their entire focus, right?
Yes. So we have someone is an UX research, and this person started basically just to understanding how to like have better features, right? So in terms of the UX, if this button needs to be in this screen or it should be in another color, or like this like how you present the inputs on the screen should change, right? Like normal UX experience. But then we started to implement other methodologies. So it's not only how can we have a linear UX, how can we have more conversion on the app, how can we have more retention on the use of the service, how can we have more growth in terms of adoption, you know? And when you ask yourself those questions, how do you have more growth, like how can you bring more growth to the company? Okay, let's just talk with customers, let's just talk with potential users, what they want, what they need, right? So that brings ideas to the table, and we discuss. We refine ideas and we have hypotheses. That person go and validate the hypothesis. You know, and it comes with different areas like customer service. Let's just go and see what's going on in the WhatsApp channel. People complaining about the service, people asking questions. What kind of questions do they have? It's because they don't understand the product, it's because they want another thing, it's because they are curious about the offers that we do. Like, what's going on? And that person comes with all the information, and we again create hypotheses, we taste, and then we integrate that into our company, either because we develop a new functionality or because we change a process internally.
It sounds like an amazing process, and I love that you've hired someone fully dedicated to this just to make sure that your decisions are as data driven as possible. How many people did you have in the company when you decided that this person that was going to be the role of this person, because it's
Mm,
quite a unique
yeah.
role?
Yeah, it didn't happen in the beginning. Like it was, we were around 25, 28 employees when we hired this person.
That's amazing. So speaking of decision making, you are co-CEOs with Juan
Yeah.
Camilo.
Yes.
Can you talk me through the journey of the leadership team, the founding sort of story and the seed, and the flex between these different positions? I'd love to hear that whole journey.
So the company actually started with me being a solo founder, and I met Juan Camilo during a trip to Colombia. So a friend introduced me to him, and he got interest. He was actually running another business, and he became like a early, very early stage angel investor, and he was also helping me with the marketing strategy. So we had like once a month meetings to understand the advertisement, the strategic communication, like the message, change a bit of the color, you know, like having the first pieces of advertisement. But we started working, and it went really good. And after the company started to grow, we launched the product, we grow a lot. I told him like, I need you to be here full time. He had a good amount of equity, so it made sense. Also, like if in the future we wanted to raise funds, it wasn't a good idea to have someone with good amount of equity not working full time for the business. So he said, yes, I want to do it. His expertise, well, building businesses and structuring the legal, the finance, like the all the administration of the company, and my experience was to build products. So I say, okay, just join me, like just be the CEO of the company, and I will go to my comfort zone, which is the product team. So I work with the developers like 100%, and he was just doing the, I would say, always the boring part, which is reading contracts, doing the P&L of the business, and this kind of stuff. And we did that for maybe almost 3 years. And in 2023, I won the award of Cartier Women's Initiative. And through a mentorship, we were starting to think about how to structure a fundraising process. And all the coaches told us, well, if you're going to fundraise, makes sense, like the person with that holds most equity on the company is the one that do the fundraising. It's like, let's see how it goes. And because Cartier is such a powerful network, they gave me so many introductions. So I was kind of like a bridge between Juan Camilo and the investors. And everyone say, just do it yourself. And I had this conversation with him. It's like, I think I'm ready. Like, I don't want you to, I don't want to compete with you. We always made the decisions 100% agreement between us. So let's just be co-CEOs. You do what you're good at. I will do what I'm good at. And let's see how it goes. So he's focused on the operational side. So he managed the HR, operations, finance, and compliance teams. And I do product growth and investor relations. It's working amazing. And the good thing is like there is no ego behind, right? It's like we are co-CEOs. We have the same decision power. And the good thing is like we always agree on the decisions. And that's why like facts and data are so important, because that nurtures the conversation and leads to a more beneficial decision for the company.
I had a wonderful conversation with Juan Camilo before this,
Okay.
and he said some wonderful things about you. And I asked him about this co-CEO-ship because it's not very common. And he said it's something that works when the founders cope well with each other, have respect for each other, and trust each other. So how have you built this mutual respect and trust between each other such that you work so well in this sort of dual lead role?
Actions. Every day that I work with Juan Camilo, I see that he is a good man, that he works with his best intention, and it's the same for him. So with that, I build trust. Every day I saw that we share values. Like when I'm not able to participate in a meeting, like he is my best representation. And basically that has helped us to build admiration for each other. And I think that's key in our relationship. Didn't happen the first day, because I think we are both the kind of people that we build trust over time. But yeah, that's how we did it.
Got here. He said some lovely things about you.
Okay.
I would say that Atilana always impressed me in terms of how, like, the energy she puts into the story she's telling, and into the project she's selling, right? So very early in this company, I was like, I became an investor actually in the company at a really, really, really early stage. We hadn't even gone to sales. And the idea that, or the reason why I invested in this company and started to actually work and everything before I was even working full time in the company was like that energy that I felt when she explained the project to me. It's like
So
there was a
nice.
really good, like a really nice connection, like a profound connection. And I really like people who take things seriously, who actually, leave skin in the game, um, and are intelligent people. Are people that really know what they're doing. And like, somehow when I was seeing her present, I said, I'm sure if someday I work together with her, we are going to get to wherever we want to get, and we're going to be able to, go over any sacrifice or any objects, or whatever, like things that like things in the way. We're going to be able to surpass them, and get to that point. What else could I tell you about her? I think she's very creative, and she has a really good business like sense, a 360 view of different projects. And I think that has been also crucial to take the company to where we have taken it. Whatever she does, Like she goes into it and she understands, she studies if she needs to study to get that job well done.
Amazing. Yeah, I think I will add that I'm working a lot to master not taking things personal, and that's also been very helpful in building trust with Juan Camilo, because feedback sometimes comes raw, right? And if you don't take that personal and you see that as like part of your growth, then growth will happen. And that's also the case for Juan Camilo. I can tell him things and he never take it personal. And that's good, because that opens the door to say things and not to have a massive elephant in the room.
How has your communication evolved over time?
Definitely, he's the person I spoke the most with. So we talk a lot. I think in the beginning, it was a bit more about I am the expert on what I'm doing, so just trust me. And it came with, okay, just need to release that control and let him do what he is good at. And then I knew, okay, I felt it. It's like I need to be able to tell him what's my perspective as well. So I told him, you are also, I'm happy for you to contribute to what I do. And I think that created a big change, right? Because that open, okay, I am the expert here in building the product, or I am the expert here in cash management, but I'm happy to receive your feedback. And that was like, I would say, a deal breaker in the beginning, but also very beneficial for the future. Also, something that was like a big change, at least for me, is when he told me doing business is about enjoying life. Stop worrying about the future. You need to, like, if you want to take holidays, take holidays. That's why we are business people, because we want that freedom. Because I used to be on this mindset that because I am an entrepreneur, I need to work a lot. I have no personal life balance. So it's kind of like I need to give all my time and energy to the business, and that take a toll on me. But when he told me, take it easy, it's okay. I can hold it for a few weeks if you need to take your time. You don't need to count on holidays. You like just do it. Just enjoy, because this is a journey and we need to enjoy all the time. So he's been helping me a lot in terms of like, chilling out. And impressively, that's something that just helped me to open up to him. And the more open I am towards him, then the better it is for our relationship. And it's the same for him.
Quick pause to talk about Unplugged. Unplugged is the ultimate reset of your mind, body, and soul. It'll challenge you in ways that you didn't expect, and it'll nourish you in ways that you didn't realize you needed. Unplugged is a digital detox cabin experience where you lock your phones and other devices away and reconnect with nature and yourself. I've been a bunch of times. I'm an investor, and I even proposed to my wonderful fiance at an Unplugged. They're magical, they're soulful, they're needed. And if you work your ass off, then you probably need it. So give yourself the respect of a reset. Click on the link in the description below and have a proper switch off. Now back to the episode. I asked him what he would ask you if he was sat in my chair.
Okay.
He said he would ask you, how has your personal life been affected by the company? And how has your relationship between the two evolved as the company has evolved?
What a, very in tune with that just answer. And well, as I just said, it's just been a journey of like understanding that building businesses is about putting the passion and your energy towards that, while also, harvesting. You need to harvest as well. If you're putting the seeds and a lot of effort to plant and to build something, once it's like growing, you need to also take some fruits. And for me, it's been taking more time for myself. You ask me like, why are you starting at 3 p.m. today? It's because, well, I am here with you. So I'm taking the morning for myself. I don't want to be in a rush. And my first meeting is at 3. So today I will have only 3 meetings. That's something that in the past, never. I will be working until midnight just because I need to compensate all the things that I didn't do while I was here with you, right? So now is about focus. He's also taught me about focus. And the more I focus into certain things, then the more time for myself I have. The more time I have, then the more I invest in myself, and the happier I am. And the happier I am, then I look forward to Monday to start working on my company. So it's been a journey in terms of like detaching from being a hustler to becoming someone that wants to invest the energy that I have into my company, but also take some time for myself. Well, that's kind of like how I been managing my 5 years in Retorna. I still work, which is important. I still work. Just back to
I can tell that you're very self-aware. All of this whole reflection doesn't happen by accident, and obviously that comes through talking with Juan Camilo. But I know that you've invested in growing your self-awareness very consciously for a long time. So can you talk to your self-awareness practice?
it comes within me to be a better person each day. So it's like since I was a child, I always wanted to do something more, either to be to practice any sport or to like learn something. So it's part of who I am to work on myself and how I can do more, or like not in that productivity thing, but like how can I be a better person, right? So um, it started when I was struggling in a relationship. It's like why am I struggling so much? And decided to start with therapy. As usual, you have a breakup, call a therapist. Okay, let me help me to pass to this grief, right? And I have done many things. So many years of therapy, coaching, meditation, reading a lot of psychology. Actually, I had a moment of my life when I wanted just to stop everything and study psychology, because I believe, like, I saw the power of the mind, and it's like I need people to understand this, right? So I read psychology. I would say 4 or 5 books per year, which is like half of the books I read between fiction and psychology. I meditate. I try different techniques. I am into gut health. I am into like understanding how my body works. And because every stimulus that we receive is like has a consequence, right? Like if I watch my phone during the night, then I will have a poor night's sleep. And I'm curious about understanding why I had a bad night of sleep. Is it because I watched my phone? Is it because I had meat for dinner? Or this curiosity actually is what make me like who I am today. So in terms of like self-awareness, um, all the therapy that I have done in the coaching just opened the doors for me to be more curious about the why I react the way I react. And also, I've learned to take the time before making decisions. So I don't make any decision based on an emotion, and I don't make any decision based on a trigger, right? Because sometimes when you are not aware of what's the reason behind this reaction, then you will make a decision perhaps on something based on your childhood or on a fear that you have because, I don't know, something happened to you in university, instead of making the decision that is best for you at that specific time, right? And just understanding what's like the layers underneath has helped me with that. And as a consequence, I consider that I am much more calm now in terms of like approaching business, in terms of approaching like human relations, because I think when you manage a team, you are like the most important part is the happiness of your team. And for that, you need to be a calm and understanding person. And that comes with self-aware. Like if you are self-aware, then you can achieve that good relationship with your teammates.
I also a big advocate for therapy and coaching and meditation and journaling and all of these things. And I've gone through lots of variations, just as you have. I don't think haven't done quite as much as you, so I really respect that. I'd love to ask a very vulnerable question. What was one of the either most recent or biggest realizations that you got from therapy?
It comes with a bit of sadness to say that I have lived many years based on a limiting belief that I am not good or I don't deserve to be successful or to be in the role that I am today. And that's not true. So when I say it comes with sadness, it's because I am, and I deserve to be where I am. I deserve to be successful. It's okay. It's just a journey. Like I don't need to be perfect. And that's kind of like the biggest realization that I had with all the therapy, because you work on yourself and you understand, oh, maybe because my dad or my mom or whatever thing that happened to me when I was a kid like had an impact on me. And you sometimes tie it to a specific events in your life. But what you don't realize is like those events just create a system, like a belief system in you, that if you don't understand them, then that affects you in your daily life. And it came late for me to understand. I mean, late. I am 36, but I know I'm not old, but I will say I was kind of like 33, 34 when I realized like how much pain I hold, like for believing that I wasn't, like that I didn't deserve that. That is just, it makes me sad, right? But the good thing is that I don't feel that anymore. And I think I am 100% capable and to do stuff, to achieve big things. And I deserve that, right? It doesn't come with trade-off. I can have a successful business while I'm still having a puppy and raising a puppy and bringing the puppy with me to the interviews or doing any sports. I don't need to trade off happiness for success. I deserve all.
I feel like a feeling of not enoughness is an underlying feeling that's quite common in founders, and the very generalized typical narrative is I don't feel enough, therefore I'm going to go create a big company and prove to the world that I am enough because I've contributed to this big company. And as you said, the beauty of becoming self-aware is you understand the why behind these narratives. And so what did you feel was the biggest factor to your feeling of not being enough?
Well, I think it was, of course, like my history. but also being an entrepreneur, like I agree with what you say. Like in some way, it feels like because you are an entrepreneur, you are never enough. And the ecosystem as well with the venture capital. It's like you need to grow and grow and grow and be a unicorn, and only 4% of startups succeed. It's kind of like all this constant pressure that you're not good enough, that you're not good enough. You need to do more. You need to do more because you need to be on those 4% of the startups that becomes really successful. That actually detaches from our purpose, and I think I mentioned this before. It's like if you, I would never say that I master self awareness because I think no one does. This is a constant, never ending work. But I think if you work on your self awareness, that helps you to understand what kind of company are you building, and not because you're not building a unicorn means that you don't deserve, or that you're not successful, or that you are bad, like that negative feeling of I'm not busy fundable. No, you're building a company and you are brave enough to take that step with all the risk and sacrifices to make a profit for it in the future, right? So you just need to understand where you are, what you want, and see if there is an alignment, right? Because for example, in my case, I'm not building a unicorn. I'm building a zebra company. And once I figure out that my company was not going to be a unicorn, it's like, wow, that was a relief. Because there is this pressure that you need to be a unicorn because VCs always expect you to be a unicorn, right? But zebras can make hundreds of millions as well. And to be honest, how much do you need to live the life you want? I met a great entrepreneur, and I will give you the contact. He is the founder of Busu.
Bernard.
Bernard.
Love Bernard.
And I had this conversation with him after your exit. Like, I never asked how much money did he get, but if you could sell your company, like if you can choose when to sell your company, like when, like tell me when will you do it? It's like, well, when you can have less than 10 million, it's okay. If you can have 8 millions in your pocket, that's enough. Yeah, you're not a billionaire. But do you need more than 8? Like, to be honest, do you need more than 5 to live the life you want? I mean, if you want to have a very luxury lifestyle, like maybe you do. But I live a happy life doing my sports, my cycling, my kite surfing, which I think is expensive enough, but I don't need millions to be happy, right? I just need to build the company that pays for my happiness, not pays me a massive check. That because with that check, yes, it comes with a lot of like security in terms of finance, financial security, great. But sometimes comes at another cost in terms of you are burned out, you're unhappy, you are divorced, your kids hate you. Like it's not for everyone, right? But it could come with that as well. So I just want to build something that pays for my happiness and is already paying. And this self-awareness just helped me to be grateful for that. And I'm not just saying this is enough and I don't want more. No, of course I want more. I want more, but I'm happy with what I have. And therefore, I don't have any pressure that I need to be more for someone else. And that's why self-awareness is key for me. And I wish all the founders could start working on that, because I think you start a business because you want to do good for the world. But if it's not working for you, then it's not doing any good for the world, because it comes with a price, right? So I think that's my perspective.
Wow. That's a powerful perspective. And that is a wonderful place to close this incredibly rich conversation. So thank you so much. The closing tradition that we have on this show is because you've been so unbelievably generous with your time and sharing your experiences and your wisdom, your rich wisdom, is that is there something that a community of like-minded entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs could support you with at the moment?
Well, feedback. Feedback is always something I like to receive. Um, I think I am in a stage where I'm moved to London recently. Like I have 1 year here, and I really want to connect with entrepreneurs. So if you happen to want a coffee with me, happy to go for it.
I think you're going to get swamped by the amount of people reaching out to you because this has been absolutely amazing. So thank you so much for your time. I'm incredibly grateful.
Thank you.